It is February 26th, 2024, and this is the SOS show with James Lott Jr. I am James Lott Jr., super organizer, of course, and it's a leap week. We get an extra day. What am I doing with the extra day? I have no idea yet because I'm on jury duty this week. But we're recording this episode a little early. Hopefully, I'm not in a case, but we're releasing this on Monday because normally I would be doing it on Monday, but we're going to do it now. So I'm happy to have this next guest. I just saw her in person. This is one of the rare times I did a show where I actually just saw them in person. I was just with them because she is the chapter president for NAPO San Diego, and I was just down there. We'll talk about what we did together when I was just there. But she also has real life professional organizing, and she's my favorite redhead, Bethel Swift Munoz. How you doing?
I am doing great. How about yourself?
Good, good. First of all, good to see you again. I literally just saw you last week or a week, like, which went by fast. That was fast.
Mhm, mhm.
All of a sudden. But you had asked me to come down, so I went for the fans at home, listeners, just kind of listen, just kind of get the idea of how you found me and why did you ask me to come down and talk at your wonderful chapter meeting?
Okay, so I found you because I have this habit of like hoarding podcast episodes. And so I started Googling, professional organizing podcasts, and then I came across yours. And I kind of tend to like binge podcast episodes when I listen. So I binged like a ton of your back, and I always like to go all the way back because, I have to see the thing through.
How funny.
Um, so I binged a lot of yours and I really enjoyed it, whether you had a guest or were by yourself, just because your voice is like very comforting and you have, I don't know how to explain, best friend energy. It would be the best way I could describe it. It's just, you've probably heard it before. It's just like best friend energy. And so it just makes you like, okay, yeah, my best friend's chatting away to me. I don't have to listen to all the like anxious thoughts in my head. I can listen to my best friend instead. And so, yeah, that's kind of how it all
So
started.
you,
And
so
then I
you
kind
wait,
of,
so wait a minute. So you actually did look up. I mean, I want people to understand this. How did you look it up? You said organized.
yeah,
Okay.
originally I looked up this was a few years ago, so but originally I just looked up like professional organizer podcasts. I listened to one of the other ones I listened to is the Pro Organizer Studio, and they have like a lot of the business stuff, which I love. But yours was more like just being one of us and also then just being yourself, which we love. And then like I found out you were a multi-interest person, and I'm like, oh yes, like more of that. So because I connect there.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, and then you were kind of just like I had you on my list kind of, and then when I got this position, I was like, I'm gonna see if James will come and speak to us, and you
Just sure,
did.
like sure, like I'll do it. I love it. No, it's just funny because I want people to know that when it comes to podcasts and stuff, literally you can type in any word and something will come up, and sometimes you'll find nothing, which is funny.
Mhm.
Sometimes you'll find maybe one. And in organizing, there's not a lot. There used to be some more back in the day. Some have kind of stopped. They didn't stick with it. Doing a podcast is a lot of work. I know I've been doing it for 9, 10 years, so I know the show. But it's funny. I always want to have people find me, and I thought it was very cool that you actually looked up organizing and professional organizing, and I did come up. So thank you,
Yes.
SEO and all that stuff. Thank you very much.
Yes. Yes.
It did work.
Mhm.
And so then yeah, because we saw each other, we find each other on social media as a first time member, and I think I said so much your red hair probably. I say, oh my god, I love red hair. And then we started following each other. I support other organizers, always support other organizers. And then you asked me to come join, and so I talked about my self care and professional organizer, and it's a series. And we had a good time. But
Okay.
actually, the question and answer lasted as long as the actual
Yes,
thing.
yes. And I can't remember the last time that happened. I was like, okay, and now you can network or ask a few more questions. And then they was just like, all questions.
Well, I want to thank you because literally just about everyone at that meeting now follows me. Like literally, I
That's
started
awesome.
they're following me on social media. I'm like that's what any speaker wants, right? We want somebody
Oh,
that
heck yeah.
it's like so. It was a very reciprocal thing. I would come back anytime, but
Awesome.
it was wonderful. Thanks. So I can say
Yes.
thank you on camera.
Of course, we'd love to have you back anytime.
Hopefully, you enjoyed it. So you are a chapter president. So I want to know. I like to people ask people who are presidents of something. Like, what does that mean to you? Like, what does that mean to you?
Well, okay, so they needed someone to take the role because the person before, Jenna Hartwell, she'd been president for many years and she needed to step down. And there really weren't people itching to step up. I think they thought the role was a lot more involved than it is, or I don't know. Some people just were kind of intimidated, and they asked me to be treasurer, and I was like, "Oh heck no," because I was a treasurer on another board, the San Diego Memoir Association, and I was just like, "Yeah, no, me and numbers should not be a thing." So I was like, well, is president open? And so that's kind of how that happened. But when I was considering like, would I really do this before I asked them? Um, I was like, okay, what would be my reasons for doing it? And some of my reasons were, or my big reasons were, I want to put put out the welcome. I don't know how else to explain it. To everyone, to just really make people feel like everybody belongs here. Any organizer in San Diego, they belong here. I wanted to have a focus on inclusion, diversity, and representation. That was really important to me. And so I wanted our any potential organizers to be able to see themselves in the speakers that we had, in the programming that we had. So that was a big component of it for me. And I've been able, I have like almost everybody from my dream team lined up this year. We had an awesome panel about earlier this year, and we have another one that's going to talk different professional organizing associations that's going to be next month. So yeah, I've been pretty. That was kind of where my heart was, though. Like, if I'm gonna do it, it's kind of, the journalism rule is first, do no harm. So I didn't want to mess anything up that's been established. And I just wanted to see if we could kick it up to the next level, basically.
Do you feel so far? So if you feel so far, you've actually done what you set out to do.
I think so. The only part that I'm still plugging away at, so if anybody wants to send me any hints or tips or whatever, is the business partner. I want to grow our business partners list, and we are working on it. But that part's a little, I guess, less familiar for me. Those kind of relationships. I'm not a very corporate-minded person. I have a good business mind, but I'm not like very corporate, so it's a little trickier for me, that part.
Well, that's what that for saying. So what she's saying out there is she's trying to find people that are kind of adjacent to the industry that you can partner up with. And I know one chapter, well, as an LA chapter, they had like a business
Yes.
affiliate day where they all came in and
Yes.
showcased, and and
Yes. Yes.
guess so I guess like real estate offices, maybe
Mhm.
hotels, maybe small business, anybody who, I mean, organizers can be used everywhere. I mean, we could do inventory, we could do cleanup, we can do pack out, we can do. I mean, there's so many things we can do.
It's true. It's true. It's true. Yeah,
Anything. And San Diego's pretty big. I mean, it's a nice size area. It's
it is.
it's
It
LA
is.
light.
I love it.
Like diet LA. I love it. It's like I was down there, I was going, this is not all the craziness of Los Angeles. It's like it's really nice down here. I love it. But
Yeah.
it's very similar, but it's not similar. It's similar but different. I love
Yeah. Yeah.
it. So yeah, so business partners. I like that idea. So yeah, so try to find folks who will support. If they have business, like give it to you. You have business, you give it to them. We work together.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. It's not. You're right. It's not always easy to find, but you'll work on it. I mean, you'll find. Maybe now you say it out loud. Somebody will be like, "Oh my god, I have some ideas." There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm definitely going to look at LA and like a few other chapters and just see who they have, and then see if there's like, the same people here that we could nurture those relationships. So,
Yeah,
it's on my to-do list.
well, it's not easy. You're here to grow and get people, like I said, and most of it's a volunteer basis. That's what the boards are volunteer basis. And I've been on boards
Yeah.
too, so it's like you have to work with that too.
Yes.
But you have a nice board. I get to meet some of them. You have a really nice
Mhm.
board, and it's so you guys. I mean, when I went to the thing, they did a whole cleanup and organization of a couple of places. That was
Yeah.
very cool. I thought that was very cool. Do
Yeah.
that. Okay, so you're on a board. So how long have you been in the chapter though? Like how long have you been in chapter period?
Ooh, I think only 2 years. I should know. It hasn't been very long for here. So my journey with professional organizing was a
Yes.
little twisted.
That's the next thing. Let's get into. Please tell them. That's what we get into that next. Yeah.
So I did some training in 2014 in Chicago, where I, lived before I came here, like my entire life. And then I did visit the chapter there a number of times. I was subcontracting for a number of NAPO organizers, and I just chickened out about pulling the trigger and going all in on my own, finding my own clients. So I kind of went back to childcare, and just I was always doing organizing, like for the kids, for the families who would, do that sort of thing. And then when I moved out here in 2016, I was doing senior care and childcare, and same kind of thing, doing organizing for in both of those contexts. But then when COVID happened, I was already set to leave my live-in nanny position. So I moved in with my fiance in March. That job ended in May, and I just took the first thing that came along from LinkedIn, which was at a doctor's office. And I did that for almost 2 years. And the whole time it was just kind of in me like, I should just, I should be doing something for myself. Like I want to work for myself. And so I talked with my husband, and he's like, we've got enough saved that we could do 3 months. And if you make it work, great. And if not, then you got to get like a part-time job or something. And so I went ahead and took the plunge. And within 3 months, it was already profitable and like able to sustain itself. So I was able to go all in, and I was kind of like, well, why didn't I do this a long time ago? Yeah.
Well, I look at it this way, you're a great example of returning positive, of course. It's a great example of maybe you weren't ready fully back then.
Yeah.
It wasn't a time. And now it's time. Once you were ready and committed and went in, it was like, okay, now you had to kind of go ahead and like, we got a few months saving, we can work this out.
Mm-hmm.
Now you went in.
Yes, and I could have never done it without him for sure. And also, like, the hunger was definitely there by that time. Like, the hunger to work for myself was just, it was at its max.
I don't like bosses. I will be the boss.
Yeah.
I love it. No, but that's one of those things that where you're part of that journey, the journey of anything can happen. So you've been in business literally for like 10 years. So in general, you have been off and on. So you've been in it for a while. So that does count. That totally counts. You have stuff that happened back then.
Thank you.
And then you came back to it, and now you're doing it. So that's a very important point, I think, for folks. Sometimes you're not ready. Sometimes you think you shouldn't do something that you're not ready to do anyway. You shouldn't, if you're not doing it. When you look back on just hindsight is 2020. When you look back on it now, thinking you were it's anybody, actually, you're nervous. Do you understand why you were nervous back then to get your own clients? You kind of get it why it's just like I do it now.
Oh yeah.
I can totally get why.
Yeah, for sure. Because some of it, like we talk about the 1,000 hours of, training to become an expert or doing something. And part of my podcast addiction is that like when I was publishing my book, I was kind of working on my book like late 2018, all through 2019, and I published March 8th, which was International Women's Day, which was like, yay. But then March 9th, San Diego shut down. So that was like not so yay. But anyway, when I was in the process of that, I was listening to so many podcasts on both book production and book marketing. And a lot of that stuff, there's crossover. And so that I think helped me a lot with just feeling confident that I would know how to market my business. I would know how to reach out, that, at any time, even when things are slow, because it does ebb and flow. I've definitely had times where I've been like a little nervous. But I never have gotten to the point where I would say, well, I've tried everything and nothing's working. There was always like a list of like, okay, well, I could still do this and I could still do that, so that makes me feel good. Like I always have tools. I just have to remember to use them. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, and it's all lessons. I think it's all lessons. You look back and go, okay, and you did that, but now you do it. I mean, it's scary at first. That's the whole thing, is like doing your own business I was scared too. I mean, on level 15 years ago, I was like, I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I thought entrepreneurship was somebody else. I was like, I don't know what that means. To get my own client. Where do you get your own clients? But literally, I try to tell people on this show, of the almost 9 years I've done this show, it's a blank canvas. So literally, there's no right or wrong. I mean, there's wrong ways, but you know what I mean. Like there's no one way to get clients or one way to do something. People will tell you there is, but there really isn't. It's like and our business is so vast. What we do is so vast.
Yes,
So a certain job can come through in the oddest of ways. Uh,
yes, yes, 100%.
that, actually,
100%.
that's a good question. I don't think I've asked this question to anybody ever. I'm gonna ask it of you,
Oh,
Bethel. I love when
okay.
something new comes up for me. Keeps me fresh.
Yeah.
What is the oddest that you could say? Because we don't tell our everybody's business, but what you can share. What is one of the kind of oddest jobs that you've ever done as an organizer?
Well, I mean, as you know, I do work with some individuals that who hoard, who
Yeah.
struggle with hoarding disorder. So there's some things I've seen there. It's just you ask somebody, I can't remember which episode it was, you asked them what they would tell themselves if, when they started. And I was thinking about that, like, oh, how would I answer that question? And there's two things I would have told myself. I don't know if I can
Please.
say, so I'll spell it.
Yeah.
One, I would tell myself, you are a bad ASS, like because I don't think I knew that I could be, like I could be that boss, thing that rhymes with Stitch.
Yeah.
Because
Boss witch. I'll say that. Yes, like that.
yeah, like I can tell people my rate without, being like, oh, I can say, hey, I have this cancellation policy, it is what it is. I can be like, do these kinds of things. And then the second part, which almost feels like a contradiction to that, is that I would, because that's more of like an affirmation. And then for the advice part of what I would tell myself is to put yourself first, put your safety first, put your like hold your boundaries. And that's like, if you smell gas, go ahead and evacuate until SDG and has checked it out. If you find a gun in a client's home after you already have a weapons policy and they sign that and you say, hey, I'm going to need you to put that in the safe, and you come back the next session and it's still not in the safe, it's time to say goodbye to that client. um, and another big one for me, don't let how your feelings about not wanting to make the client feel bad dictate what PPE you wear. Your PPE needs to be in accordance with your allergies, your safety, things like that. That's kind of so yeah, I mean, we always see fun things in it. And I actually, for a while there, when I was being good about my Instagram, I would post like fun finds, with the client's permission.
Yeah,
Um, and so there's like some like rations from one of the wars,
yeah.
that we
Ah,
found, like
that'd
just
be a trip.
like
Yeah.
yeah, like just random fun stuff. But that's kind of like the main thing for me is just like, yeah, like hold your boundaries because you can't help other people if you're not taking care of yourself. Yeah.
Well, clearly that's what I do. I
Yes.
talk. No, I actually I teach a course actually on how to
Oh
let
wow.
clients go, how to fire clients.
Ooh,
Actually,
I might need to take that.
yeah, I just coach somebody on that. Actually, I do one-on-one coaching, folks. Also, and I have coaching clients, and I just coached somebody how to do that. And they were so grateful. I mean, there's like, I have a whole thing, but they have a whole thing. We work something out.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But no, that's the thing. When you start, it's all about getting clients. So you're thinking, I'll
Mm-hmm.
do what I have to do to get a client. I got
Yes.
to make money. I got to make this successful. That's your first thought. It's just a natural thought. After a while, you're like, things come up, and
Mm-hmm.
you got to be just as strong about those things too. So you're right. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very. And yes, you can handle it. The thing I think is the hardest out of all, you tell me if you agree, is the pricing. Is like having a price, sticking to it, telling people and sticking to it. And if they say no, sticking to it.
Yes. Yes. Yes, I do. And maybe I shouldn't say this on air, but I do have like a secret in and out menu of where I will do sliding scale for certain clients that need help. Obviously, it's a limited number of slots. And I did unfortunately have to institute a like where I come to your place first, because I don't always do in-home consults first.
Okay.
But before they can be approved for any rate lower than my regular hourly rate, I do have to do that first session and see how we work together. Because I had a couple people who like were living much better than I was that kind of told me,
Uh-huh. Yes.
spun the story. So I was kind of like, you know what, I'm going to make sure your place is not better than mine. and then we could talk, and then it just also makes sure that, the relationship is working, and and then we can discuss if we want to go forward. And that's a good meter of like, are they going to follow, the boundaries that I said about, your appointment, like being there, being ready, all the things, and it's just good like meter for both of us. We're just feeling each other out in that first appointment just to make sure.
Well, I'm gonna say it out loud because I don't have a filter on my shows. I don't really give Yes. I have sliding scale for certain things too, and for years I've had organizers hate me for it, and I don't really care. It's my business. I do whatever the f I want. So I tell people, because I work with a lot of older people, some with fixed incomes in lower income neighborhoods, and some things are cultural. I will bend, and so this industry was founded by women who are not Black or Hispanic, or they're mostly white. We started this thing, so they don't. So I don't think they understand in some cases. So for me, I found for me, I have my regular rates, and again, I do in-home consultations. I don't, or in-person consultations first anyway, like you, and then we talk, and I determine if it's just regular client, regular rate, regular client, and then I go, okay, we're fine. Or if someone's telling me what's going on, or I'm talking with their adult child going, we're low on this, we just really need some help. I'm not a free person. I don't do anything for free.
No.
I figure it out so that I figure it out so that I still get paid, something that's decent that I can live on and still help them. And to me, I think there's no problem with making your business the way you want to handle it, as long as it's not hurting you. To me, I'm like thinking the best. I want you to get paid, or whatever. But there are things where I may not work as much, or I may only work this. Right? I mean, there's other things you said, your sliding scale of things. There's all the other stuff that comes with it also. So I'm like, I have some a la carte packages. But when we used to come and shred, I'll come shred for this price, and I'll just shred all day long. Because some folks have a thing where they want it. Not a place like take things shredding, but there's some folks they want to shred on property. So to me, it's like, I want to be able to be a one size fits all for people. It's like you're kind of similar way, right?
Yeah, because there's some projects that are like almost cross into like data entry type stuff, and I'm like, okay, well, this is really serving you, and
Right.
I'll do it. But yeah. So it is totally like that, like where it's just like on each. And so most of the time, I am the one kind of like seeing how, like you said, seeing how the situation is, and then determining like, here's what I'm going to do for you. Because especially in hoarding situations where it is a big project, and you're like, okay, in order to get you here, and I've even talked to some people that like, a dream of mine is that maybe someday my business would be able to be turned into a nonprofit, and they would still pay, because I think it's very important, like you're saying, not just for me to make an income, but for them to have some buy-in. Because if it's completely free, then that's kind of, maybe your buy-in is a little lower. And I think it would be nice to do something where it's like subsidized, because it sometimes feels like with the dehoarding that you'll just get the decluttering part done, and you're not able to like set up the systems or whatever, at least not to the like way where, so then you're like worried about, and then they can't afford maintenance and all that kind of stuff. So I would just love to be able to do that, and I can only lower them so far, and the job is what the job is if it's heavy duty. And then also it's like, okay, well, what do they need? Because some clients are like, well, no, I really do want all the lottery tickets, or I want all the change picked out of the, and it's like, it's going to take so much longer. But you have to, they have to feel in charge for sure. So
Yes, I agree with that. I cater stuff. I cater to the person. So there's not one person in the world, so I cater to the person, and I've been very successful. So I support you and anybody else who is listening to this who says, I'm going to set up my business the way I want to set up. My thing again is just make sure you don't hurt yourself, take care of yourself. And I don't feel like we're demeaning the business at all. If you're successful at what you're doing, then it's fine. There's all kinds of business. So I stand by that very heavily.
Yes. And I think you and I, oh, sorry. I think you and I agree too with the philosophy that like organizing doesn't have to be a luxury service. It should be for everybody. And it can be at different rates for everybody, but like it should be available to everybody.
I agree. And yes, there are certain things I don't do. And I say it's not like you have things like in policies too. So there's certain things I don't do, certain things I don't handle. I don't handle, animal removals and things like that. I mean, I have people, but see, I have people that I know. I have an electrician on hand, a plumber on hand, and I got gardeners on hand. I mean, I got people on hand that I can call, and you pay them, and they will handle.
Yeah.
I don't build shelves. I don't build. I don't build stuff. Okay, he's my man. Don't ask me that. I don't do that stuff. I'll do it for myself. This chair I put together by a friend. He can want to put the chair together for me. I didn't put it together. I'll do that. Well, that's for me. So I'm like, nah. So, but I'm all for you. You make your business however you want to make your business. There's different ways to success.
Yeah.
But the one thing I will agree on is make sure you are taken care of as an organizer. And that you aren't demeaning yourself in a sense where you're just like undercutting yourself, period. You don't want to cut yourself. Like I said, so if certain people can, they can afford that certain rate and they choose not to take it, I don't lower. I'm just like, no, well, that's the rate. And a lot of times they come back. They may not take it right away. They look around. I've done many of I had an organizer just wasn't that good, or my house cleaner, I tried to get her to do it, and didn't work, so they call you back in.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
So we know that one very much. Were you always an organized child?
It's funny. I believe I was, but we didn't have a lot of things first off. Um, we had very limited toys, and then we would have like our personal items. I just remember me and my sister always arranging our little personal items on our dressers. And I think I kind of from there on, like I always had like knickknacks and things. And then when I moved here, I had a Prius C at the time, so I could only move with what I could fit in the Prius C, including my brother and his luggage for the week. And and then I was just kind of like, I don't need all those knickknacks. And like even when I was decluttering for the move, like I was like, those knickknacks were a lot to dust. And so like now I really don't have much knickknacks, and I'm like shifting more and more towards a minimalist mindset. I think I don't think I said here before, but my mother and my grandparents on her side were struggled with hoarding disorder, and so for me that like I never struggled with that, but just I definitely like you know less less stuff around because I have you know navigating a lot of stuff. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, you have a couple of cute videos I saw with your cute husband. Um, how does he handle you being an organizer? What is it? How's that work? Because I don't have a partner. I don't have a partner in organizing, so I don't know what that is like. So I'm like, what is that? What is that like?
Well, it's pretty interesting. I'm not sure which ones you saw, but I know there was one where I just like organized the spice drawer
Yes, I
or the
saw that
spice
one.
cabinet
Yes, that one.
overnight, and he's kind of like, "Hello, like, can I get a little heads up?"
Yes.
And then when we went to Chile, this is when you have a problem, like you're taking your career a little too seriously. When we went to Chile for 3 weeks, and we were in his room, we were staying in like his room, not his childhood room, but like the room he had when he was like in his 20s,
Oh,
and I'm like, could we organize it? He's like, oh my God. So he entertained me, and then
oh,
he started telling stories. I don't think I even ever posted these, but he started telling stories like this water bottle, because I'm like, can we just toss this water bottle? He's like, this went on my road trip from Alaska to Patagonia. This, and I was like, oh my gosh, you gotta let me video this because my clients are gonna
I
so
know.
relate. Like, like, yes, this is what we're talking about.
Wow.
And so it was really funny, but our little experiment didn't end well because it turned out that like 90% of the stuff in the room was his brother's, not his. So,
Oh, oops.
so we're
Oopsie.
like, okay, I guess we won't be decluttering here.
That take time off. You're in Chile. You're visiting. Take time off.
I know I have a problem.
No, I don't know. No, there's time. I don't. I've learned how to turn off now. I mean, I'm now about 15 years into it. But I was like that too at first. I was like, I want to touch that. Now goes my house. I'm like, I don't even care. Like, if you want me to comment, I'll comment. Now, if they ask me to do something, I will do it. But like, I don't. I can turn it off now. I can turn it off. I can't. Why do you like organizing? What do you like about it?
Hmm. Um, there's so many different aspects to organizing, like you were saying too. So it kind of depends on the job. Packing is very zen for me. Like, I just like, yep, I'm just wrapping things up and putting them in a box with care, and then when the people get to the other side, it's gonna all be like so easy to unpack for them. It's going to be beautiful. If I'm doing uh, just straight organizing of people's things, that usually does come with the decluttering part, and I really enjoy the decluttering part. I enjoy like the back and forth, and we always end up laughing. I know you're probably the same way. Like we just end up like in stitches. Actually, I posted one video too of one of my clients because she let me. It's like I don't think her face isn't in it, but she's like, it's cruel and unusual punishment for you to make me put all my stuff out that I gathered. And so we just have fun with it. We always do. And that's really fun for me. And then I think there's a teeny piece of it that's probably therapeutic, honestly, because I did when I was in high school, I was working with my grandma to dehoard. I didn't have the verbiage for it at the time. I just would be like, oh, I cleaned out grandma's sewing room, and next week it was filled right back up again. What the heck? But I got a real taste of the sad side, side of it, where I would, catch her outside, before the sun was up, like going through the trash to see if I had thrown away some, things like that. And I have a lot of compassion for both children of hoarders and the individuals who struggle with hoarding disorder themselves, because I've kind of seen all the sides of it. And I understand there's, of course, normally trauma there. And, in my grandma's case, she lost two sons, in a tragic accident. They survived Vietnam and came back and died in a tragic accident. And then she lost a third son to suicide some years later. So, and then obviously that impacted my mother as well, who struggles with the same
Yes.
same thing. So it's I think it's therapeutic for me a little bit to be able to help people get to the other side. One of the very first clients I was able to help with was actually back in Chicago, and she had told me for 7 years she wanted to get these bookcases put up, and we just did one session together, and I about threw my back out getting these bookcases up because I wanted, her to get her goal. And she was so happy at the end of the session, like, oh, I've been trying for 7 years to do this. And so that kind of thing is just like when, people have been stuck for so long and you're able to just like help them get unstuck. It's pretty awesome.
Well, like I said before, you're doing God's work. It is. There's nothing like it. I mean, we are helping people's lives, one session at a time, one conversation at a time. Sometimes, one item at a time. It can be that much.
Yeah.
I agree with you when they're smiling or going, "Wow, I can see the floor again," or "Wow, I can sit on the couch." People may laugh, but like this is for real. This is like for real.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I have people cry on me and laugh and hug and just like, and you're like, this is real. What we're doing is, organizers, it's a great industry. I can talk this industry all day long as anybody knows, and I do. But I love it so much. So thanks for all your hard work, Bethel, and everything you're doing down there in San Diego.
Well, same to you.
So real life professional organizing is the place. Where can they go to find you online and the social media?
Yes, reallifeprofessionalorganizing.com, and I'm at Real Life Professional Organizing on, I think, all the platforms, Facebook, Instagram, everything else. I'm going to ask you, though, you didn't ask one of my favorite questions, or I think you usually start with the thanks and gratitude, and I have an answer
I missed
prepared.
it. I'm about to get there.
Oh, okay.
I missed. I go.
I was like,
I've done this show 9 years, and I think only one show doesn't have it. I missed it completely.
oh,
It's the
okay.
only other show where I didn't think this might be the second show where I'm like, I didn't say it in the beginning. I went straight in. I
I'm
was
like, I
excited
have
for this
one
meeting.
prepared.
Oh no, we're gonna do it at the end. No, I was gonna do it. I was gonna say we're gonna do it at the end. So I'm glad you said that. So, folks, I normally, as you know, long-time listeners, I used to do my thanks and gratitude. After I introduce the guest, I do a thanks and gratitude. But I want to get in and start talking to her, so I just like it's the red hair. So I'm going to do my thanks and gratitude first, and then I'm let her end with hers. My thanks and gratitude goes to my grandson Trenton. It's his birthday on February 28th. He'll be 2 years old. And he's alreys showing signs to be smart like me, like his Papa JB. So I want to give a shout out to him. I will not be with him that day, but I'll probably see him on FaceTime or Snapchat. And I set his presents ahead of time, so hopefully he'll get there when he get there. But he's my fourth grandchild out of five, so I am blessed beyond lots of belief out there. So Trenton, you get I wrote a book with his name on it too, actually. So It's out there too, but Trenton is the one who gets it this week. Bethel, what is your thanks and gratitude?
So I have two, and they're very unique.
I love them.
I've been gratitude journaling for a long time, so I was like, okay, I'm tired of writing the same thing. So this morning I was making my very extensive iced coffee that I make at home, and I saw there's a big construction project nearby, and every day all the construction workers go zooming past on like all those little scooters and stuff. And this morning, one of them went past and he just had like the biggest smile on his face. And it just makes me laugh because they look like just like they're getting to go back to their childhood for a moment before they get to work. Because there's like no parking nearby. So they all ride scooters to get there. And they just look like they're just having the best time of their life. So that made me smile. So it's great for that. And then the other thing was when I went on my walk in between my session for my lunch break, I saw a little bird. I'm not a good bird person, so I want to say it's a sparrow, but I could be very wrong. But it was kind of doing that little hop run thing, and that just always makes me laugh because they can fly, but when they try to like walk or run, it just brings a smile to my face. Those are the two things in gratitude that I
Nature.
have.
Nature.
Yeah.
I like nature. Nature makes you smile too. I live in gratitude for nature. And I said, just San Diego is beautiful down there, so I'm not surprised at all. But yes, that's our thanks and gratitude, folks. Like I said, I do it every episode. I don't know. I got to round it back up. So I'll end it with thanks and gratitude this time. So something different because it's leap week. Everything is upside down. That's what's happening extra day this week. I don't know what's going on. And happy birthday and happy anniversary to anyone who was born on February 29th or I got married on February 29th. My friends Harry and Kelsey Paris got married on February 29th. So I don't know your anniversary. I guess it's like your 12th anniversary or something like that, but you've been married like 50 years. However that math goes. I said to anybody who's born on February 29th, it's your birthday. You actually have a birthday. That's very exciting. You can find me where all James Lott Juniors are sold at James Lott Jr. and all social media platforms. This SOS show is on Facebook. It's also on X, Twitter X, what do you call it? Twix, what do you call it? It's going there too. Same with the Super Organizer. It's on also those and X, Twitter. I'm on TikTok. Yes, I am. How you should organize under a minute. That series is on there. And where else am I? A lot of help.com/the super organizer. I'm actually working on the website. I just restarted my blog after 7 years. I'm going to try to blog every day. I'm trying to. So check that. So a lot of help.com. Check that out. I'm trying to get back in that rhythm again. That's my new challenge for 2024. Organizing is important, folks. It helps everybody, and everyone from age 2 to 102 can use organization in some form, whether it's chores, with chore management, teaching chores to kids, all the way up to decluttering, dehoarding, just downsizing, anything from when you get older. So all stages of life, organization, productivity, all this stuff, just wonderful, man, just wonderful. And if you want to get in touch with her, of course, for organizational needs in the San Diego area, and you're afraid to go to her directly, you can come to me and I'll pass on to her. Everybody,
Can I give you one more? I'm sorry, I was so excited about
please do. I love it. I love this. My show.
I'm
Do
so
what you
excited
want.
about the thanks. I was so excited about the thanks and gratitude that I
Nice.
forgot that I should mention if there are any poetry lovers out there or art lovers, I have another account which is made by Bethel Swift.
I was trying to find. I have your book. Well, I'm reading your book, so it's not over here, of course. I'm reading it right now. So
Oh,
like anyway, it's over there by my bed. I should have had it over here to show it to you. As you know, folks at home, I do write books. She's a poetry person. And what'd you say? What's the place they go to?
so it's at Made by Bethel Swift or bethelswift.com. And the book is called Conversations with Good Men, which is what we just had one of those.
Oh, thank you. I like that. And yes, support the arts. I believe that completely. Support the arts in schools, indie artists. It's all important. And it's been shown to help other areas of life when it comes to anxiety, depression, even with organizations like that too. But also it helps with math and science and English and everything in between. Art and history. Art is a wonderful thing. So support that from childhood all the way up. Support the arts. We'll talk to you next time.
All right. Thanks so much.